Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
While God created the world, the morning stars sang together. After God delivered Israel through the Red Sea, Moses and Miriam led the people in singing. God destroyed Israel's enemies under King Jehoshaphat, while the choir sang. When Jesus was born, the angels sang, and before going to the cross, he sang. God rejoices over us with singing, and one of the only things we know for certain that everyone will be doing in heaven is singing. At New St. Andrews College, we understand that music is not an elective. It is central to our being and identity. We endeavor to train all our students in a joyful and robust musical literacy that will help them shape culture in a Christ-like direction wherever they go. Additionally, we offer the Certificate of Music in conjunction with our bachelor's degree in liberal arts and culture for students who desire extra music training beyond the regular music courses they will take as a part of the core curriculum. In the certificate program, you won't simply appreciate music or listen to it or talk about it. You will do music. You will study it, analyze it, read it, write it, sing it, and play it. You will receive private instruction in your primary instrument, as well as secondary lessons in voice, piano, conducting, and other instruments. You will receive a solid foundation in music theory and analysis. You will study music history, church music, and music pedagogy. And when you graduate, you will leave with the ability to sing, play, understand, and steward music in whatever church or community you plant yourself. I'm Dr. David Erb, and this is the Certificate of Music at New St. Andrews College.
Hey y'all, welcome to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network, your nightly news.
Is it good,
and
Pastor?
Entertainment and commentary with Pastor Toby Chuck Knox on the Water Boy.
I want some coffee. Haley, where my coffee?
You needed.
That's good.
I guess
right
I
I
got
got
Cuban
mine. I
right
got
here.
my Latinx coffee. It was
that's not
good.
the
It's
no,
fantastic.
it's called a Cuban.
I call it Latinx
No,
coffee. It is what it is.
Don't do that.
Don't they pronounce it Latinx?
I don't.
See, now don't help him.
I
Now
know.
he's gonna.
It's Latinx, isn't it?
Now he's
Isn't
gonna
it?
say "yeah, man" on the end of it.
Yeah, man. Wait. You read the ad and then okay, I'm gonna let you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to tell you that the cup of coffee I'm having right now is amazing.
Is that cross politic coffee?
Miss Haley made it for me.
Miss Producer
And,
Haley.
Basically, that's all I want to tell you right now.
She is single.
It's just that it's
She is single.
Also, if you want to help support my coffee habit, you should
And we
join the
Join the
Fight
club.
Laugh Feast Club. Go to fightlaughfeast.com today and join the club. You've heard it all before. New year, new year. New year, new you. Who writes these things? Well, that's true for our club portal too. This year at Cross Politic, we're dropping exclusive content into our club portal that you won't be able to find anywhere else. Some of this content will include a Bible study series, if Neil ever tells me when I can start recording it, passed by me, a special with New St. Andrews President Ben Merkel, our
that's coming out.
backstage content,
That's
and
spicy.
probably a bunch of stuff that Gabe hasn't told me or Knox about.
I hate when that happens.
Real facts.
So again, head on over to fightlaughfeast.com, get signed up, become a member today at fightlaughfeast.com.
Okay.
Before you jump in, I just gotta.
All right.
This club membership thing is gonna come into play a lot later in the show, but I just want to bring that up. There's a reason you want to become a Fight Laugh Feast club member, not just to help support Pastor Toby's coffee habit, but it's actually a benefit for you that you do, and I'll talk about that a little later.
Okay. I like that. All right. Man, we forgot one thing yesterday. One thing. I just hit the table.
Hit the table.
All right, table.
Welcome
We forgot
back.
one thing yesterday. Yesterday was MLK's birthday.
We didn't forget one thing.
And we forgot to sing happy birthday. And so I think we need to sing happy birthday.
No, we don't
Yeah.
celebrate.
All right, here we go. Together.
Happy birthday to you.
Yes.
Happy birthday to you.
Yep. Amen.
Happy birthday, dear Valley. Happy birthday to you.
Valley?
So
who are we singing happy birthday to?
it was Martin Luther King III's wife. that
Andrea.
They're singing Andrea. They're singing happy birthday to her. He was speaking at the National Action Network, and he said, "Hey, it's someone's birthday today, and we need to sing happy birthday. So everyone, we got to sing happy birthday to Mrs. King."
That'd be right.
You know,
Andrea.
and Andrea. And they started. He started the happy birthday, and he led it.
Well,
and then he couldn't remember her name when he got to the.
I think he called her Valley.
He went.
I don't know what she said.
Yeah. But I saw this morning, and it's been on my funny bone all day. Just watch him. I want to make this like my ringtone on my phone or something.
Can I just tell you what you do in these situations?
Yeah.
You go, all right, everybody, let's sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to.
And then you take the mic away. That's it. That's
All
it.
right,
You take the mic away.
Good job, y'all. And you just
No, but
instruct everybody.
Biden couldn't. He couldn't help himself.
It's like,
yeah.
Oh, somebody help him.
I mean, ever since we talked to Chad yesterday, I'm like, it's worse than I thought.
Yeah.
It's
Or
worse.
it's better than we thought,
It's
too.
worse than I thought.
Yeah. I think there's both. I think both those things are true. It's better and worse at the same time. Right? Because, well, think about it. The better side of it is that although you're going to just take the conversation there. Let's just go there. Although there were a lot of things that were horrible after slavery and the turn up from the centuries going that way from slavery. What the blessings of God for black culture in America, God was being faithful to those people who were being faithful. And the enemy really didn't like it, in a lot of ways. And there were things that were being repaired without the federal government repairing them.
That's
and
right.
you saw this.
Even with bad guys,
Even with a lot
bad
of
people trying to,
Make
be
it difficult.
hateful and bigoted and prejudiced or whatever.
The voting was absolute nightmare.
But
there was a lot of things that were broken.
But there were a bunch of people that were like, oh, well, we got God.
Right.
We'll work it out over time.
And the church and the relationships
They
that
were
were
getting
there.
married. They're having
They
babies.
were
They're baptizing
the
their
wisdom.
babies.
I haven't played that in so long. I'm just going to go, is it?
He's getting good.
There we go. I don't want you guys to forget.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that, I was like, wow, the enemy really wanted to dampen that type of thing of those kind of blessings. And
I mean, Black Wall Street.
Have
I ever mentioned Black Wall Street?
I don't know if we've ever talked about it on the show
I really
before.
think you should give it some more consideration than
Pastor
you
Toby,
usually do.
I'm so proud of you right now.
But I mean, that was God's blessing.
It was.
That was.
It
I
was.
mean, that's what we're talking about, and that's in the face of hardships and difficulties and hatred and bigotry and all these things. And then Gabe's favorite Reagan quote: "We're here from the government.
Yeah.
We're here to help you."
Yeah.
Yep.
No, thank you.
But that's like
Get off my lawn.
And MLK.
And I got my AR-15 walking you out.
Yeah, but we took the bait.
Yeah.
For me,
Apparently, we took the bait.
Sure
well,
did.
and it took time before it finally did. But because of where we were and what we were coming out of and where we currently are and what we're facing, it gives me a lot of hope to say this is nothing compared to what we've had to go through before. Yeah. When a people who are called by his name humble themselves and pray, turn from their sin, we can see that type of transformation again when we trust in Christ for it. And not the government.
And it strikes me that we all took the bait.
Everybody
together, guilty white people.
That's right.
Come on now.
I don't know, guilty black people, angry white people, angry black people. Federal government, save us.
Yeah.
That's right.
Save us. Give us more money. Redistribute incomes. Give us justice. Take away our guilt.
Well, I think
take away our shame for bad things that our parents and our grandparents did.
Well, it struck me this week reading Jeremiah 29, and where the play's the same. Whether you're in slavery in Babylon, or whether you're in slavery in 1860, or whether you're in a free nation, Jeremiah says, hey, do good in that city and go have babies. Like that's the play.
Yeah, build houses, plant gardens.
Get married, have children, and that's the play, whether you're free or not.
Go baptize your kids if you have
and that's what was happening with the black community.
And God blesses that. And then when you do that, you're looking to God for the blessing. You're looking Him for the provision, for Him for the deliverance, and He delivers His people.
Come on now.
But we over and over again we look to pharaohs. We look to Nebuchadnezzar. We look to the government.
What pharaoh are you looking to right now?
We want a king like the nations.
That's right.
And like Samuel said, look, you can have a king, but he's going to oppress you. It's going to be hard and it's going to be difficult. And that's But it seems like that's what we did.
Have we ever talked about the story of Uncle Nearest, Uncle Nearest, or Nearest Green?
I think we've mentioned it on
I think
the
we've
show.
talked
before.
I don't know, but I know I got Uncle Nearest whiskey from you for
Yeah.
Christmas.
Man,
I got
that was so good. I shared it with too many friends, man.
I didn't share that with anybody.
Man,
it's still in my cabinet.
It's good.
And I've been
It's actually
sipping
good.
on it.
Here's the deal. You have to share it to talk about the story of it because the
Yeah.
story is beautiful and it's one that's been lost. So you have Nearest Green, who grew up in Virginia. He was a slave. And then you had this other guy who was a kid without a father that got brought into this family on the same plantation.
Okay.
And this kid would always see this whiskey place, smoking and stuff going on there. Like, what's going on? And he would be so interested in this place. And so he would go over there to this place and hang out with this guy called Uncle Nearest. And Uncle Nearest taught this kid how to do bourbon. Right, how to do whiskey, and taught him the filtration
That's
process.
called discipleship, right there.
Right, and so
Yes, sir. Disciple me, please.
And so this kid learns this craft and this skill from Uncle Nearest, becomes very dear friends. You can probably see this child that doesn't have a father finding it in Uncle Nearest, the relationship that bonds there. This kid grows up to be Jack Daniels, and Jack Daniels, after he goes and starts his process, goes and gets Uncle Nearest to be a part of his whiskey place. And Uncle Nearest is the first, he's the first guy first black man leading the charge and creating one of the finest whiskeys, right? Bourbons.
Right.
And they had a bond and relationship for generations of the Greens and the Daniels working together, and just a wonderful cultivation of culture there. I think it was Lynchburg, Virginia. And so put that relationship there on the side. Years later, there's a lot of people that find out about Uncle Nearest from Jack Daniels. Like, oh, Jack Daniels must have been horrible and was a horrible guy to Nearest. Come to find out, they had a wonderful relationship, wonderful family bonding between the generations. And as they go to resurrect this idea of Uncle Nearest, they find out that wasn't just Jack Daniels and Uncle Nearest, it was the whole community. That by the time people were talking about segregation, they were like, well, why?
Yeah.
We're all friends and family. Why would we segregate from each other? And so they were looking for a lot. They were reading back into history, this kind of racial tension and culture that was never there because of the working relationships that happened way back when they were plantations, right? That a lot of them were shocked at this as they were trying to understand it and said, maybe things were a little different. So when they started desegregating, a lot of the people in Lynchburg said, we don't understand. We play together before we go to school, and then we separate, and then we come back and play together afterwards. They just never bought into the idea.
Right.
And so the relationships were much different than a lot of the other people in the North were trying to push on this environment. Now, I said that story to say this story. So that's Uncle Nearest's story. It's a beautiful story. You got to.
And there's a great little 10-minute video narrated by I forget the actor's name, really good actor.
Jeffrey.
You'd like it.
Yeah.
Google the video. It's really nice.
Yeah, thank you. Jeffrey Wright is the actor who does it.
Yeah.
One of my favorite actors of all time.
You just search Uncle Nearest.
Uncle Nearest, Jeffrey Wright. He talks
come
about
up
the
there.
whole
Okay.
story and the creator. There's a lady who is one of the children of Uncle Nearest is part of making this new brew. But in my own family and story, I think I've said this before. I talked to my grandma, Sharon's grandmother, and asked her about her life. She's in her 80s at the time, and we wanted to get a video of everything that she had gone through. And she comes from the Deep South, born in 1939, and she's in Florida. And so we wanted to hear her story and pass it on from generations. And I'm hearing her story, and by the time she gets to her 50s, she's moving to Minneapolis. And I had to stop her in the middle of the story. I was like, Grandma, wait a second. I've heard you tell us your whole story from growing up without running water, living in the backwoods, all this stuff. And I've never heard you talk one moment about racism and prejudice and all this stuff bumping into you. And it just wasn't coming up in your story. Why haven't you brought that to the forefront to communicate? And I remember her saying, baby, they weren't going to do anything to stop me. And I was just thinking, like, for her, they weren't even an obstacle that was worthy of communicating to her great-grands and anybody else. And it was like the mentality that she had just shocked
versus
me.
our pronoun snowflakes.
Versus everybody people's like, well, you can't come here, you can't go there. She's living in segregation, right? But she's like, I'm still going to do whatever it is I want to do and got to do.
Right.
And there wasn't always that kind of relationship everywhere.
Right.
And it was just interesting that the way that we've gone back and retrofit history from what we thought it was, or from the moral imagination that's being created for us, it really wasn't that at all.
Right.
And so that's what's so good about talking with Chad is that, there's a lot more to this story, kind of like Proverbs. One first comes and tell their story, and you think that's what it is until another comes and corrects them. You're like, oh, there's way more, and we need to have that attitude about this.
Yeah, we need to go back and just read our history.
That's right.
I mean, we need to know
broadly too.
Yeah, we need to don't take. I mean, basically, like, the stuff that's getting published now, like, even you just can't trust it. You just like, it's all got spin, it's all got agenda.
Yeah.
And we really need to go back and we need to listen to our fathers and our grandfathers and our grandmothers.
That's right.
And
that's right.
And let them tell us how it was.
Well, and what's undone so much of this is our public education system. So here in Idaho, we're actually.
Ain't that you know what? It's so funny. Everybody who's listened to yesterday's show is like, how come we weren't taught this?
I was public school.
Yeah.
We had a lot of comments back on.
Like,
how come?
That's
exactly
so,
right.
So anyways, here in Idaho, we actually got some good conservative legislators that ended up in the House and the Senate here in Idaho.
Praise God.
And they're starting to push some good things. And one of the things that's kind of on the docket is some form of, school voucher or some sort of, money following the student kind of legislation.
Yeah.
Our Idaho state superintendent is actually, she's Republican. And we had two superintendents run against one. I liked the one that actually won was kind of a rhino, and I wasn't that excited about her. But anyways, here's some comments that she made. I think it was yesterday regarding this debate on public funds and private schools.
I am not prepared to be an advocate for public funds going to private schools. That does not take away from a parent's ability to choose to send their child to a private school.
So
our state superintendent is not for taking public funds to private schools, but we'll play another clip here in a second. But there's just so I mean, public universities, private universities. I mean, you can think of all these. There's many examples of private funds.
Are you done?
Public funds going to private. Yes, Toby, I'll let you have it.
Public funds? Those are my money.
yeah, right. Yeah, she talking about you.
She's talking about our money.
Yeah.
She's
right.
like, that's not her money. It's not public money. It's my money. It's taxpayer money.
Yep, that's right.
So she says,
no, but she puts it in that category. It removes it from your responsibility.
Yeah, but that's a lie.
Yeah,
that's propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
What she's saying is, I am not prepared to take taxpayer money and allow them
to decide
to use their money to educate their children.
Come on now.
The way they want to educate them.
Oh well,
Blah, 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 blah.
which is amazing. But she can take your money.
She's a good massa.
And let them, and they can decide what to do with your money, right? Without you. So that's
Apparently.
All right, and then she says, and then she actually follows up. So this is the kind of the same thought process. She's explaining some things here, and she goes on further to say this.
We are able to satisfy a number of parental decisions through tax dollars. And her statement was, we've got a lot of existing programs in place that many times we keep trying to come up with another way to satisfy that, that same problem. And this is a topic where I think we do have a number of ways that we're able to identify that. Now, I may not be philosophically on the same place as someone else that all of the money would go. I have some things that are important to me: accountability, transparency. I think those are the expectations that we all have when it comes to the public realm. I think that should apply to the private as well.
Whoa!
Pause.
Whoa! So listen.
Did you just hear what you said?
Wait.
Let me just remind everybody, this is in the same thought process, okay? The same stream of thought that she just said about public funds not following private schools.
Right.
Go ahead. I just want to make sure. Make that connection. Go.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
That was it?
That's
what you're going to say?
I was going to say, like, what he said.
Oh.
So.
Oh, all right.
Wait. But I don't know what you guys are saying.
Well,
I'm
okay.
sorry. I'm slow. You guys like you're like an old married couple, and I don't know what we're fighting about.
So it's okay to take your money and then to not give it to private institutions,
right?
And say you can send your kids over there, but we're still going to take your money and send other people's kids to
public schools,
on your pay
dime.
for them on your dime,
right?
But I want to control some of the transparency
accountability
issues on the private institutions. Yeah. So they want control over the private institutions without the money. Now, I don't want them to have control over any of it. Yeah. Well, but it's interesting that that's still the way she's thinking about this.
Well, and what's interesting is that even though she's not ready to allow public funds to go fund private schools, a whole bunch of, I think, not very thoughtful other Republicans would just jump on a bandwagon and say, I think all that public funding
Yeah, right.
should go to private schools.
Yep.
And then that's only going to bolster her point.
Well,
Because
exactly.
as soon as you start taking the federal dollars, then why
The
can't
accountability and transparency is really going to come.
don't we need to have accountability and
Really gonna
transparency?
come. That's
But
right.
she's already asking for it without the money. Imagine what happens when she gets
Exactly. That's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Exactly. And this is something that, again, now on the one hand, I want to break the public school monopoly with all my heart. All I want for Christmas is a broken public school monopoly.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what I want.
Right.
Okay, because the public school
You
government
better be a
school
really good boy this next year.
monopoly. I mean, this. I am convinced. I mean, next to the complete spineless cowardice, effeminacy of the modern evangelical church,
Yep.
I think the next best, most poisonous thing in this country is Marxist, the Marxist schools.
I feel God right there.
That's what those are.
Yeah.
Government schools are Marxist schools. You cannot. That's what they are. And Republicans, the idiots that they are, pump billions of dollars into them and promise to keep funding them because they want Marxism.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
That should really scare us.
And so, but so I want to break that with all my heart.
Yeah.
And I think there's probably a play here because there is a massive push right now because a bunch of people are getting sick and tired of the disgusting sex ed programs in the public schools and the Marxism
cover that here in a
and
second.
the public schools and the ESG and DEI and all the nonsense going and CRT and all the other pagan acronyms going on in the public schools. And so there's the meetings are getting more and more exciting, as they say.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a momentum here that I want to capitalize on, but I think we have to be so careful because if you just simply say, all right, now start diverting public funds into private schools, I think this is a setup for that very thing that this superintendent just said, that we need to have transparency and accountability. And what's to stop, again, Republicans are great at starting things that the Democrats capitalize on.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so transparency and accountability, and the Republicans say, well, we just mean common sense.
Yeah.
And then the Democrats get into power 5 years later, 10 years later, and say, yes, and by common sense, we mean drag queens and pornographic sex ed curriculum. And if your school is teaching traditional Christian marriage, that your gender identity, your sexual identity is established by God at creation and at conception, that is bigotry, backward racism, white nationalism, whatever, and that is clearly not acceptable. And there's all kinds of ways. Either the private institutions they get hooked. On the meth money. The government meth money. And now they got to have it, and so they compromise, which is what most higher education has happened with colleges. And just ask Canada, by the way. Or if they have the guts and the backbone to say, then keep your stupid money, the institution is going to collapse because, how many students were paying tuition based on those public dollars, quote unquote, public dollars that they now yank out from underneath you. So I think there's probably a play to be made here, but I am, and this is an honest question. I'd love to hear from audience members and people who are listening to this discussion and thinking about this. How are you going to break the monopoly? Let's use the momentum. I think we should, but how are we going to do it and protect these private schools? How are we going to do it? I've heard some ideas, but I'm honestly
and I don't know how possible that is once you start giving money through public means.
The one idea that I've had one guy suggest to me is that if funds becoming available, use the funds merely to purchase facilities and one-time purchases. So that once it's gone, it's gone. But you're not building it into your budget.
Interesting.
That's one idea that I think is worth considering.
The only problem is I think you got to see this as a drug.
That's the thing.
And I don't think that we have the willpower to resist the temptation of it. And so there's something. The idea is one thing, because what Republicans tend to do is they tend to have every hit they think is a home run, and so they don't run the bases when they actually just hit a deep ball, right? They need to hit this one and start running. And so again, I just think that for us, it's more of what is the end goal, and we need to beat that and teach that into our people before we even start the play. because otherwise we hit the ball and we think, oh, it's over.
And
it's not.
And we're not being educated.
Exactly.
Everybody's just thinking, I just want to have school choice.
This is why I think it's hard for us to run the play, because the play we think is school choice, when the play is actually way beyond school choice.
Right,
And we don't. And if we talk to people, they don't have an idea what that looks like past that.
All right, let me read this out, and then you can do the next story, Gabe. The mission of Armed Republic is to honor Christ by equipping free men with tools of liberty necessary to preserve God-given rights. In the Armed Republic, there's no king but Christ. Actually, that's the truth for the whole world. We are free craftsmen. Body armor is a tool of liberty. We create tools of liberty. Free men must remain ever vigilant against tyranny wherever it appears. God has given us the tools of liberty needed to defend the rights he has bestowed on us. Armored Republic is honored to offer you these tools. Visit them at the number 500, AR500armor.com and buy some body armor today.
So we're still talking public education here in Idaho because we're a conservative state. We're a red state, right? We're supposed to be, Republican, keep Idaho red.
In name
right?
only.
In name only. But in any of your states, all you have to do is just scratch the surface of public education, and you'll find all sorts of trash and curriculum that's being taught to the students in the public school system.
That's some imagery. I just thought about scratch and sniff, and then you're so excited about the smell, and it's
trash. It's stanky. It's a stanky smell. You just scratch it just a little bit, like, How do I unscratch that?
So that's how it's gonna be.
That's how it's gonna be. How do I unscratch that? You can't.
Eggs.
And so it just came out. IFF just reported on
Idaho Freedom Foundation.
Yeah, Idaho Freedom Foundation just reported on this in our public school district here in Moscow. They are showing pornographic light videos to 8th graders, showing them how to put on condoms. But what's crazy about this is that Trojan, the private company Trojan Condoms, is the one who creates these videos that public schools use for sex education curriculum here in Idaho. And so here, Idaho, our little Moscow Junior High is showing, Trojan videos on how to wear condoms to their kids through this kind of, cartoon kind of sex education kind of video.
This is my shocked face.
Yeah, not shocked. But what's also kind of funny on this goes back to, we are a conservative state. There's still some remnant of funny conservatism still here. It's actually illegal to teach sex education that is not reaffirming traditional family values.
Yeah.
Illegal. Title 33, chapter 16 here, section 1608 in A-B. It says family life and sex education legislation. The legislator of the state of Idaho believes that the primary responsibility for family life and sex education, including moral responsibility, rests upon the home and the church. And the school,
go Idaho,
and the schools
actually,
there.
This is my shocked face.
Yeah, I know.
It says that in the Idaho code.
Yes, major emphasis, section A. Major emphasis in such a program should be to assist the home in giving them the knowledge with appreciation of the important place the family holds in the social system of our culture. Its place in the family and the responsibility which will be there much later than they establish their own families. Then it goes on to say, the program should supplement the work in the home and the church in giving the youth the scientific, physiological information for understanding sex and its relation to the miracle of life, including the knowledge of the power of sex drive and the necessity for controlling that drive by self-discipline.
Doesn't it contradict
controlling that drive? It's like no LGBT lust. Out of here. Get them all. And then it says all this is geared towards teaching. It actually uses a male pronoun, teaching him now and later when he chooses a mate and establishes his own family.
There is
hilarious.
Wow.
There is something very glorious about that, and at the same time, I think it denies its own principles.
Yeah.
So if the idea is to hold to the family values and ultimately Christian values, what they're getting at, then it would reject the idea of the government schools teaching sex education anyway. Right, because that's a responsibility and duty of the family to engage in that kind of idea.
But that camel's nose is to assist. So they got that assist word in there.
Well, but it's striking. At least in one of the videos, I was reading about this earlier. Yeah. The video actually says your parents are one trusted resource, but your doctor is your most trusted resource.
No way.
Yes, that was from the Idaho Freedom Foundation.
I missed that in the
write-up.
Yeah.
So at least one of the videos says that your it's telling them they can go to their doctor to get contraceptives, abortifacient pills, Plan B type stuff, and it says you can go to your doctor and you can get these things without your parents' knowledge.
Wow!
Because while your parents are a trusted source, your doctor is the most trusted source.
Incredible.
I agree with you, Knox. We stumbled. Idaho, I think, really stumbled when they wrote into the Constitution that we needed to provide public education.
Yeah.
That was our first playing footsie with Marxism 100 plus years ago.
Yeah. 1980.
I mean, the whole idea of government schools
87,
is Marxism.
That
communism.
I like that. I like what they're doing, but that in itself is a sign of the abdication of the parent already.
Yeah.
That's really abdication, dereliction of duty.
And the church. Where was it? The church should have been calling that out. And what do you mean?
But you got to remember, some of this happens because of the abdication of the duty of parents. You know, when parents are neglecting to do the things that they're supposed to do, it's not like it doesn't happen. The way that God has made the world, something comes in to fill that void. And so they're trying the best they can.
The role is always going to be filled.
And in one sense, you got to give them a hand for okay, we're having this problem with parents and kids. We want to come back and support parents. How do we do that? We don't know how to do that really well, but let's do it like this so we can push the responsibility that way. But when you have that, you've already failed, right? You got to understand that. So if you know the TV show Bluey, have you seen that TV show?
Australian
TV show. It's a great show.
Yeah.
It really is. But Bluey exists because the Australian government saw back early 2000s, there was a problem with the parenting that was happening in their country. And because of the way the parents were teaching their kids, they're like, we got to do something to help parents become better parents for children so we can have better citizens in our country. And what they did was create a TV show called Bluey. And Bluey is probably one of the most popular kids shows out there. And it's just trying to get fathers to not beat their kids, but to love their kids, spend time with their kids, raise their kids, right? Love playing with their kids. And the show is and so everybody, when you watch the show, you look at it and you're like, I'm not as good as a dad as Bluey's dad. I want to be Bluey's dad. And so that's what it does. And it encourages you to do that way. But they're trying to fill a void that parents have not worked hard to do. And because of that, now the government is making shows on how to get parents. They've become the church and they've become the parent and they're trying to disciple. That's all this is. When we have abdicated so much responsibility on the issues of sex and the nature of God. I mean, when you think about it, if you grow up on a farm, this is not an odd question. This is not a weird question. You're seeing it in nature. You're talking about it with your kids. And then your kids are seeing the relationship between you and your wife. That's not something that's yucky, but it's beautiful. And you get to disciple your kids in this way. I remember my mom, being a registered nurse, taught me so much about, even at a young age, my sexual reproductive organs and penis and vagina and how those things work together, that when other people came to tell me and talk to me about things or engage them oddly, I had a standard to say, no, that's not what that's for. This is what it's for, and it's beautiful. And then marriage and all, and I understood those things, can operate those things, so that I didn't have to get taught by the world those things. And when you are taught by your parents those things, it gives you a whole different, it teaches you rightly, disciples you rightly on how you need to work with those things, discipline yourself, learn what's going to happen to your body, and as a mature person, how to use your body to the glory of God. But when we parents forget that, then we're going to have to create things like what's in our, it's as good as it is, the things in our law, or a TV show like Bluey, because we've abdicated responsibility, and we need to get that back. Okay, there's one more clip that I want to play. You want
to go there? Yep.
You got time, right?
I got 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Ooh,
Perfect.
Can we get
Let's
this in
do
10
it.
minutes?
It's just 10 minutes.
Okay.
There's this clip from Tucker Carlson that...
It's a 4-minute clip.
It's a 4-minute clip. And so, but it's worth every bit of 4 minutes. There's not a whole lot of commentary to give to this clip. It's just one of those things that you need to be aware of.
You need a flag,
And then there's a point that I want to say after this. So it'll be like 6 minutes, we'll be done. All right. Play the clip from Tucker Carlson.
It's a really interesting story. So 5 days ago, last Wednesday, the FAA ordered a ground stop on all air travel in the U.S. That meant that not a single commercial or private aircraft was allowed in the skies over this country. And that's very serious. Hard to overstate the seriousness of that, actually. The only other time this country has imposed a national ground stop was after 9/11, the terror attacks 21 years ago. So it's a huge deal. What happened? Why did the government ground all the planes? So people asked, but initially no one seemed to know. Pete Buttigieg, who runs the transportation department, which oversees the FAA, went on TV to say he was not quite sure.
Surprise!
And then over the next several hours, a kind of story emerged. The government system that sends messages to pilots, called NOTAM, had gone down. And then the emergency backup system had also gone down. Now, the FAA claimed it first noticed this on Tuesday night. When the problem could not be fixed, the government issued a ground stop the next morning. That's what Pete Buttigieg said. He described the culprit here as, quote, a damaged database file with no evidence of a cyber attack. So to repeat, said Pete Buttigieg, there was no evidence of a cyber attack. It was just your garden variety software snafu. Some contractor entered the wrong code. No big deal. That's what they said, but it was not a very convincing story if you thought about it. Shutting down all commercial air travel in this country, even for a morning, is a very serious thing to do. U.S. airlines haul close to 750 million people every year. Air travel is essential. It's also potentially dangerous. So for a lot of reasons, it is imperative that our system works perfectly. But one day, our system just shut down for no real reason. Is that what you're telling us? Yes, explained Pete Buttigieg with a straight face. Now, most people seem to think this was fine. We were not entirely convinced. And then the next day, last Thursday, we noticed that virtually the same thing happened in Canada.
I did not know that.
Well, that was very strange because the U.S. and Canada have separate aviation authorities. They're different countries, and each country uses its own software to route their planes. The systems are not linked to each other. And yet, 24 hours after our country's NOTAM system went down, Canada's NOTAM system went down also. According to the Canadian government, its system, quote, experienced an outage. Really? What are the odds of that? And then we remembered that on New Year's Day, 2 weeks ago, something similar happened in the Philippines. Its air traffic control system also went down. For a time, no aircraft were allowed in Philippine airspace. Thousands of flights over Asia had to be rerouted, which is expensive and dangerous, potentially. Now, this was also, they told us at the time, some sort of minor technical problem that we should not worry about. Calm down. Everything's fine. But is everything fine? Or is it possible that somebody is hacking into aviation systems and holding various governments around the world hostage until they pay a ransom? Well, yes, it's entirely possible. In fact, for example, in the summer of 2020, UCSF Medical School paid more than $1 million in Bitcoin, and they paid it in order to get access to their own computers, which had been frozen by hackers. They were held up for ransom. So what if the same people or similar people just did something very much like that to the FAA, and then to the government in Canada, and also the government of the Philippines? Now, if that were actually happening, the Biden administration would never tell us in a million years. They would lie about it, like they lie about everything else. They would have Mayor Pete claim it was a software glitch from a contractor. And they would lie to us because they would not want us to know that they had been so utterly reckless and negligent and distracted by equity concerns that they had allowed some foreign hostile group to take control of our FAA.
Wow.
But the lie could only cover so much because there would be signs of it. Almost all ransoms like this are paid in Bitcoin. So if the US government was buying huge amounts of Bitcoin in order to pay a ransom, Bitcoin prices would surge, of course. So the question is, has that happened? Oh, yes, it has happened. Since the nationwide ground stop last Thursday, the price of Bitcoin has shot up about 20%. Is that a coincidence? We asked Pete Buttigieg to come on the show tonight to let us know. Unfortunately, he did not respond to our request, so we'll keep asking.
Well, it shot up. I'm looking at the Bitcoin stats right now. So when that happened, there's about 20% spike.
So
I mean that. Now the correlation there, you don't have the evidence of it all, but that blew my mind on the kind of thought process that Tucker put together. Mm-hmm. Pretty amazing.
Well, this is exactly what a free press is supposed to do. They're asking the right questions.
Connect the dots.
He's thinking through the process, and he's asking the right questions to say, hey, we see this going on and we see it happening and we have some suspicions. Government, can you tell us what in the world is going on? Or are we tripping? Can you come to us and let us know this?
How about some transparency and accountability
Come on now.
from our government?
But you get this because of a free press. And I got to tell you, I don't see a whole lot of what Tucker just did on his show operated inside of press back rooms. And they got, and so this is what I talked about this at the beginning of the show. I would love to see Cross-Politic be able to have the ability to develop, to have researchers and people to go out and journalists to do real journalism. That's real journalism.
That's right.
If he's making the case, but he's not settled on it yet. He wants to ask the question, is this what we're seeing?
Yeah.
Is this right? Can you tell the American people what's going on? We are only when you have a free press, it tells you what's going on in the world, your relationship to that, and how to engage it. And that's why the free press is so important. What we do here at this table, when we talk about things, we're doing our best with everything that we have. And it's because of our club members that we're able to even do this. And I'm just saying, imagine being able to support an institution that is able to engage that with the understanding of the gospel and how Christianity works and how the world works with a biblical cosmology. I mean, it would be on fire to have those type of resources with that type of understanding. And so when just think about when you're giving, when you're doing things, that's what we're trying to build here. And those people who are giving across Politic, I just want to say thank you. You're getting us closer to be able to do things like that, because that is absolutely phenomenal. And I can't wait to be able to do more of that as God blesses us.
That's right.
If you're single, get married. And if you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love the neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
It is the duty of the free man to resist tyranny at every turn. Every man will either watch his freedom stripped away or take action to protect what he loves. Introducing the A3, the newest revolutionary body armor from Armored Republic. The A3 is the new standard for lightweight multi-hit body armor. A3 plates are incredibly light at 4.6 pounds. The patented design captures fragmentation while remaining multi-hit capable. The A3 will stop up to M80 ball, yet comes in at only 0.7 inches thick. The A3 is the thinnest NIJ .06 compliant or certified composite standalone plate that includes the drop test. The A3 is the first of its kind, patent pending, that combines an alloy strike face with polyethylene backing, revolutionizing body armor technology by providing strength and durability while remaining sleek and maneuverable. The A3 is the new standard in lightweight body armor. The fight against tyranny just got stronger.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.